This is a series of 5 paintings that I have called The Return. Initially, these were exhibited in the San Francisco Women's Art Gallery in 2020. At that time, there were 3, and then I added 2, and now there are another 5 paintings of this series, so it keeps expanding and growing. Essentially, it is a timeless yet new creation story of our cosmic adventure. We're not really returning to anything in our planetary history like Lemuria or Atlantis or even Egypt. It is really a remembrance, a deep remembrance of that state of awareness, that absolute of who we truly are in our heart of hearts, and before the time of confusion, before things were distorted and confused. So I welcome you to this visual story and enjoy the images, enjoy the words that were brought through as I tuned in to these paintings. Through love's grace, the dreaming of the heart seed was light conceived and received into the void that is the cosmic mother's womb. As she breathed in, her cosmic love flowed into the new consciousness. As she breathed out, the seed that is life expanded inwards, fractal upon fractal, petal upon petal, spiraling into denser and denser versions of itself, unfolding the tapestry of the divine plan through the blueprint of its own true nature. Hearing the beat of its own heart, the one within the one that was the one, dreamt its own dream. As without, so within. The dreamer's seeds scattered into the garden of life, the life of rhythm and cycles and matter and form. Her children moved further into the dream. They took many paths, way leading to way, unaware of the flaming flower that had led them in and would lead them out. They forgot. Although they were born in the light, they found themselves in darkness, so that the shadow of the light may be known. Regardless of the forgetting, the flower cradled them, safeguarding the dormant seeds until their return. In divine wisdom, the rainbow snake and the tribe of many colors was sent forth with the starborn. It would hold the knowing and rise according to the procession of the equinoxes, until that which was above was aflame below and within. All would rise with the serpent of light. To remind them, the cosmic mother whispered into the blowing winds, the flowing waters, the crackling fires, and the porous rock of her own body temple. Gently she whispered, for those with ears that could hear and eyes that could see. Wherever you go, no matter how far you fall, I will find you, and I will remind you of love. Your heart is the gateway to my own. You were never abandoned, for in truth, you never left. Listen, beloved children of the one light, you of many lights in one. Do you hear the call? It is the great mother calling you home. And listen, they did. When all else seemed lost and adrift on the island of the Lord of the Flies, they turned their heads and listened. A whisper at first, and through the hum of the birds and the buzz of the bees, and they began to remember. The memories were reflected back through the solid rock and the uncatchable movement of the wind. The rivers flowed once again, and their arteries filled with the waters of life. It reminded them of the birth waters, and they recalled their mother's embrace. Her eyes peered back at them through nature's lens, the unified eye of love. They learned to use the rays of the sun to gather the nectar and make their own threads. It was the time of the solar return, the return of the living light codes. They called back into themselves all that they themselves had created, the many threads in the tapestry of life. They jumped like spiders on the rings of the golden web, remembering the journey was a round trip, and it was time to spiral home. It was the time of the return of the deep remembrance and the knowing of the stardust they were made of, the return of the records and the return of the knowledge and the wisdom of the garden of life, the return to innocence and grace. Through the records, they returned to the knowledge of the One, in the time before confusion, when the language of love was spoken through the heart, and there was no distortion by the river of Babylon. They remembered that they were many in one and one in many, and they remembered the way home. And so the time came when the children woke from the dream, and all at once they became. They became the birthing of a new consciousness. The most ordinary things were pregnant with the extraordinary quality of the One. They were the newborn babe, blinking and breathing in the new breath, the first breath, the firstborn, the first love. The tribe of many colors remembered, and their differences were forgotten. For as many they had grown in wisdom, and as one they rose from the bondage of night. A unified field, they crowned themselves in the glory of peace. At last, the great serpent unfurled herself from where she was sleeping, revealing new wings, the golden rainbow dragon. Light shone in the space where darkness reigned, and it became clear. She took flight, and all took flight with her, within her, as her, rising through and beyond the flower of life. I am Mahakura, Francine of the Blu-ray, and I honor the light in you.